I didn't have a relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
I remember her being in my childhood, like around daycare years. I remember us going to the store. I would spend the night with her or whatever.
Yeah.
But after that, like elementary school and on, like I just wouldn't see her anymore, right? I feel like that kind of put a wound in me, you know, seeing everybody with their mom and stuff like that, and not being able to have that own mommy-daughter relationship. I used to like just be so hurt that I couldn't do anything about this. Like there's nothing I can do to have this relationship with her. And now that I look back, I feel like I would subconsciously push people away. Since my mom was far away from me and I couldn't do anything about that, anytime I'm hurt, I'm like, okay, she's distant and I can't do anything about this. So now whenever I'm in this friendship and I feel hurt, I push you away. I would have so many on and off friendships.
Yeah.
On and off friendships. And it's because I keep pushing them away. Every time they do something, I'm pushing them away. But now I realize internally it was because of the wound with me and my mom.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Travion.
Hey, y'all. I'm Jada.
Hey, I'm CEO Sean.
I'm Yanni.
And we are back. We're about to get into something real deep.
Real deep.
So I hope y'all ready because
it's gonna get sad.
I know, yeah.
We're about to have a session.
Get your ice cream.
Get your ice cream.
Not the ice
Get your
tired?
popcorn.
Are you tired of living life the wrong way? Do you feel like you need to get your life together? Well, here on this podcast, we're about to get it together for you.
Side effects may include listening to this podcast and taking very good notes.
Right, literally.
And even life-changing results.
Right.
We need to put this episode in black and white.
We definitely should.
Right.
Don't put the sad music, get it going.
Y'all remember the In the Arms?
Oh, yeah.
Let's stop
Facts, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying too much.
Right.
But this podcast definitely going to be touching on some pretty deep stuff, though. But we don't want it to necessarily be like a real sad thing for you guys. We just want y'all to just go with us, you know, just ride with us.
Yeah.
So then you can it's not, we're going to go down, but we're going to go up again. So
Yeah.
I feel like all of us have like lived different lives, experienced different things.
Facts.
Yeah.
So there could be things that each of us have been through that may be helpful for whoever's watching. So
Yeah.
you're real vulnerable or whatever. So
Yeah.
Never know what may resonate
Facts.
with somebody. So hopefully this does truly help you. Yeah, enough talking. So I'll go with like my state of mind and where I was when, you know, I started like, you know, feeling depressed and like feeling in a rut. So like for me, it was more so like 2019. That's like when things really started like piling up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like around that time I was like 15, 16. So like you start like the stuff from like your childhood start to like be presented in your face. Like you start to realize like, oh, like this really affects me and all of that stuff. So it's like, I don't know, that happened. And then even during that time, like the house that like me and my family, we lived in, it was like, I went to school one day and we came back and we couldn't go back home. Like we couldn't go back to that house. They locked the door. And yeah, so then we just had to go to a hotel and it was just a drastic shift. And I really loved that like place. And it was just like, dang, like we can't go back. And of course we were able to like eventually get our stuff out and everything. But yeah, like that's when we had to basically downsize and pretty much get the place that we had. It was like nice and big, but we had to downsize to another place that was similar. Like it had the same floors and like the same setup. It was just a smaller, like condensed place, like a town home in a sense, I would say, because all the houses were connected. And yeah, like I just slowly started, you know, getting a little depressed. Like I started like this is hard for me to say, but like eventually over time I started to not see myself living past like 21. Like I was like, yeah, I couldn't even see myself past that moment of that time. I was just like this is over. Like this is over for me. Yeah, and we could get more into it. Like I want y'all to share y'all parts as well.
I got something to say to that. Sometimes those moments that feel like it's over, it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I have so many moments in my life where I'm at my breaking point. I feel like giving up. It's over. I don't see how this is going to work out. And then it ends up working out. And on the flip side, my life ends up elevating and becoming better. So,
Very true.
But let's talk about that though, because again, somebody's probably thinking the same thing as you. Like, man, I'm going through a depressed time. Even I was at a point where I couldn't even see past, not even 21, like past the age that I was at the time.
Same.
Like, I just couldn't see past that. Like, forget like older. It's like, all right, right now, I don't even want to be here. So like, what do you think was the cause of you not wanting to or being able to see past that age?
I would say in that moment it was just more so of like all my past trauma like coming up. And we could talk about that like in the future of like, parents and all that stuff, but more so just like a lot of my past coming up, past things that occurred at home, not at home, but like just in my space, like just things that I've allowed to like pile up, like my father, my dad, my biological dad. And the reason why I say my biological dad is because I call my stepfather father. And like he has a thing about that of like, he's like a father is someone like who's there, they show up, all that stuff. So like I make sure to differentiate the two.
Facts, yeah.
So yeah, I would say like my childhood, that drastic change of like you going to school and you coming back and then you can't go back to home to your crib, like what? And I really like that house. That's where I started like my YouTube channel. That's where I started like, becoming like a full-time entrepreneur and stuff like that. So it was just a drastic change really quick. Like it slapped me right in my face and I'm like, dang, like, yo, like this is crazy. And then we had to move to the other house. We were in the hotel for like some weeks. It's even on my YouTube channel, but with me, I'm like so like closed off. And that time I was just trying to like find a way to like laugh through it or like get through it, make a joke, about it. Like it's on my YouTube channel. I posted it on my birthday of like that year, like 2019. And it was like, my past was coming up and just that. And like, it just slowly started getting worse and worse. Like I started like just feeling like in a very sunken place and it went on for years. So from 2019 all the way up until 2022, like November 2022 is how long I was dealing with that and like self-sabotaging myself, all of that stuff. Like it was just like piling up over it, like repeated. Like it kept going.
Yeah.
That's crazy how long you can stay in a low place. I feel like for me, I had like a few like really low moments. The first one was when my aunt died. My aunt's the reason I became a designer. Like she sewed, so that was like my biggest inspiration. And cancer, it runs in my dad's side of the family. So like literally everybody, my grandmother, my grandfather, my great grandfather, my aunt, like everybody gets cancer. And so I remember when she was sick, we had made a pillow like right before she had died, or like right before she got really sick, and we sewed the J on backwards. And she was like, well, when I get better again, like we'll fix the J, we'll sew it on the right way. But she never ended up getting better. Yeah. And so when she died, that like really hurt because even now, every time I hit a new milestone, it's like, dang, she would be so proud of me. Like everyone in my family tells me you remind me so much of your aunt. Like just like even like down to how we look, us both loving fashion, like designing, all of that stuff. Like you remind me so much of your aunt. And I just wish like, dang, like she could have been like my mentor or something, like the person I call like right now. And so that was like a low moment. And then the other two, when I was in high school, my first love, he had died. He drowned. He was off in college and I was still in high school, but that was the first time I felt like real heartbreak. Like I physically felt my heart broken. Like I was at dance practice when I found out. Yeah. And so I remember like me and my friend that told me he died, I always get on her about how she told me because it was so terrible. It was like, so DJ died. It was like, it wasn't casual. But she didn't know how to say it. But it wasn't like a let me walk you into something, like walk you into this. It was like, DJ died. And I was just like, what? And I couldn't believe it. But then like I just ran off and then like they found me, the coaches or whatever, and they were like, asking me questions, and I just busted out crying, and I was like crying for like a good couple hours. Like they took me into like the coach's office and put me on the couch, and I just sat there balled up, like fist balled up, like my heart was literally like broken. And that was like something like really, really hard for me to deal with. Like those two losses like have impacted me the most, just because he was so young, like only like 18, I think.
Mm.
And so it's just like, dang, like, you know, like his life had barely even started.
Yeah.
And then I'll say like the last thing that like kind of brought me really low. After I got saved, I felt like back in 2019, I felt like I developed like this fragile mind. It was almost like any little thing could happen and I just break.
Mm.
And it was just like, I'm trying to be productive, trying to like be on my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And something happens and all that productive stuff go out the window. Like I would just sink in sadness. And it just used to be like, and I knew I used to choose it. It was like I could see myself like, it's like you have a choice. Like, okay, you could choose to stay in this sadness and how you feel, or you could choose to like do something about it. But I always choose to stay sad, and I would just have like all this negative, like these negative thoughts, like, oh, like you suck, or you're ugly, or you're not talented, you're not good enough, like you ain't doing nothing, you're like not, you're like all this stuff. And so I just used to battle my thoughts so much for a really, really, really long time.
Same.
Until I finally like was able to come out of that like at the end of last year. And so, but I kept dealing with that like for a while, like on and off. Like it felt like I couldn't go a couple of weeks like of just being happy. But now, like I could say the past 6 months is like the longest I've been happy. And not saying like things have not happened to like throw me off, but I bounce back now. Like my recovery time is quick. Like, okay, I allow myself to be sad the rest of the day, but I'm good by the next day. And so those have been like some of like the biggest like moments I feel like to affect me. And it's still like more stuff.
Yeah.
It's really more stuff, but definitely like those are the biggest.
I felt that
Yeah.
negative self-talk, like, yeah.
That nigga sometimes be hitting.
Like for real, it brings you down, literally.
Yeah.
Definitely does.
Yeah.
And then depending on what you're telling yourself, it's like the enemy will plant a lie in your mind, and then you believe it.
Yep.
And then you start repeating it to yourself, and then you start walking into that. You start walking as if you're that lie. You start to believe and act as if you're that lie, and then next thing you know, it becomes your lifestyle. You're it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know. I've definitely dealt with that, but I'm trying to think. A hard season I've dealt with is like when I was younger, I used to have really bad skin. I had eczema, which is a skin condition, and I used to be so depressed about it because it's like I couldn't do cheer because I was insecure. I couldn't do the volleyball. I couldn't go to the pool with my friends. I couldn't go out with my friends. I couldn't do, my friends, oh, come do this. And it's like summertime, but it's like I'm insecure. I don't really want to go out like that. And I would have a lot of seasons like that when I was younger. And those would be really hard for me. Like it would be so hard for me to get out of bed or go to the store or go to the kitchen. Like, cause it's like, I'm so like insecure and upset with how I am. It's like all my friends are out here living their best life, but I'm here dealing with this, and it's hard because it's like, I'm trying this, nothing's working out, So that's something I dealt with a lot growing up. Praise God that clear now.
Real clear.
Praise God.
For sure.
Veganism. And then something else. For some reason, I don't know if it's just me, but my birthdays be so sad.
Really?
Yes. Like every year on my birthday, bro, I am sad. And I think it's because I had a lot of bad experiences on my birthday. Whether it's like, me and my mom don't really have a relationship. So whether it's like her not really calling me or, you know, it's just a lot of, like, if I look back on my birthdays, I have more sad experiences than happy experiences, which is really weird. So it's like now every year on my birthday, it's like I've been disappointed so many times. When my birthday comes, all my friends are, oh, it's your birthday, it's your birthday. I'm just like, yeah, you know, because it's like I'm carrying past weight on me.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, you know, and then it's like, you know, you're supposed to be happy, it's your birthday. And it's like, I know this, but I can't control what I feel, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's crazy. So that's something I struggle. Birthday depression, I don't know. It's a weird thing. But I try to keep my mind in a positive space because at the end of the day, it is my birthday and God has God has blessed me and been gracious enough for me to even live to see another birthday. So I'm not going to let my emotions just hold me down to the point where I'm just sitting in my room all day. Because then it's like, okay, God's just like, okay, I know you're feeling this way, but it's like, I still gave you your birthday, you know? So I try to ignore the feeling and tell myself the truth, but it's like the feeling still weighs on me. So
I definitely feel that. That's actually really true. Because I think it was recently for my 20th, I kind of felt that way a little bit. Not depressed more so, but more so like I set expectations for myself that I didn't reach, and I equivalented that to I'm older, and I kind of, it's basically like missing an assignment. Like it's due at 11:59, I submitted it at 12:01. So, I mean, I just failed the assignment pretty much. That's what I kind of equated it to. But I wasn't tripping that much on my birthday, but I think it was more so when I was it was like middle school. I think middle school was my worst period. Well, no, it was start of elementary school, and then it kind of transitioned into middle school. And I was good. I was a decent kid up until like 5th, 6th grade, because that's when I was about 11 years old, and I had lost my sister at the time. And she was 5, about to turn 6 in December. Like she lost her life in December, but her birthday was in December, so she didn't even make it to 6. And I was at an age where I was just like, I couldn't comprehend death like that. And I didn't even want to go to the funeral. So I even told my mom, like, I don't want to go to the funeral because I didn't want to see her that way. But I kind of regret it because it's like, I kind of do want to see her, like, at least one last time. But I mean, she listened, but you know. So after that situation, I kind of built up like a resentment towards the world because it was like, because again, like even back then, like even now, I'm very like y'all know I'm a very logical person. So back then I was logical too. So it was like, well, logically speaking, like if someone dies or if you take somebody's life, it shouldn't at least make sense. Like if they maybe kill somebody, if they break a law that's really, really, really bad, or they something really bad. And I'm like, my sister was the farthest from doing anything bad or anything. Like she was always genuinely happy. She was just like a very vibrant spirit. Like Jada, I haven't told you, like she has a very vibrant spirit like you do. Like you and Yanni, y'all very, I don't know. Yeah. She like when she was literally in the hospital bed, tubes literally in her stomach because she had stomach cancer. I was showed a picture. I think my grandma showed me a picture. She was smiling in the picture. Like still with that stuff going on. She was still smiling. So I just kind of looked at that like, I just kind of blamed the world because it was like, why it didn't make sense why God would take her away. So I was kind of in a way like I was torn because it's like I resented God for that a little bit because it was like I didn't understand like why did you like there was no logical reason behind taking her away. So and I didn't, but because it was like because I was still like Christian, so I still believed in God. So it was like I was kind of in this place where it was like, all right, I'm not going to blame God, but I'm going to blame everyone else. I'm going to blame the world for this happening. Cause like it's, you know, the cancer is like a disease of this world anyway. So I just blame the world for it. So I took that out on, again, like that's when I actually started getting into like fights. That's when I started getting in trouble. I stopped pulling my punches. I stopped pulling what I wanted to say, what I wanted to do. I kind of got outspoken and I kind of built up a lot of enemies, like a lot of them. Like no one liked me. I was very annoying. And at first I was blaming everybody else. It was everybody else's issue. It was never mine because the world was always against me. And again, I always got punished for it. Like I told y'all, like I missed out on like my childhood best friends' birthdays, all their birthdays and stuff like that. The parties, I never went to most of them most of the time because I was always in trouble. I was always just doing something wrong or just going against something, the grain. And it wasn't, and then I got to a point where I started realizing, I think it was when I got to high school, it was 9th grade, and I went to a private school at the time. And private school is so funny because you can't, when you get into a fight at private school, it's like you get expelled immediately if you get into a fight. It was a Christian one too. I got in like 5-6 fights there, and I still stayed. It was crazy. Like, I always found confrontation. Like, conversation always found me from just different groups and stuff like that. And at the time, I still like, I barely had like, I had a handful of friends, but they never really went to my school like that. I never had like again, close friends, best friends, stuff like that, people I can count on. No, never dated like back then. And eventually I started getting into it closer to 10th grade. And then before I got to 10th grade, I had to literally look in the mirror like, yo, it was for like a few hours just staring at myself like, you need to fix this. Because it's 3 different, like, because again, I was still logical. If you was at school A, school B, and school C, and completely different people at those school, but I'm still having the same problems. The only thing that's consistent is me in those 3 different schools, and everybody's not the same. So it's like, it has to be me. So then I just started kind of working on that. But then I created like, I don't know if I created a facade where it was like, I was just this genuinely cool guy, but I kind of just flipped the switch and I was just like, all right, I want to make sure I get on everyone's good side. Hold on one second real quick. Don't skip this. I got some important news for you. This your boy CEO Ashawn, and I need you guys to check out the audio. We are on Spotify, we on Apple Music, and we on Apple Podcasts. You can't miss out on the audio. Listen to how I sound right now. You definitely can't miss out on the and. Don't forget, make sure you check out the merchandise. You know what I'm saying? Definitely get you some social proof merch. Make sure you in the right attire so you can be flyer. Now back to the podcast episode. So that's when I learned how to start sacrificing my peace for other people. Yeah. So I wasn't getting external crap from most people, but at the same time I wasn't building enemies. So like at the same time I wasn't getting in trouble as much. It was mainly just, doing my chores and stuff like that at home. But I started caring about what other people think and then making sure that I appear a certain way to them. And I got to a place, I think this was towards my end of the year. This is what like was the triggering point for me to be an entrepreneur. One of my best friends that I had there, like, and to all the girls like that I've been friends with, y'all know, like, I be putting y'all first. Like most of the time I be putting y'all like first because, just being a gentleman and stuff like that. But I put her first in a lot of different situations, and we was close for like 2-3 years. And let's just say, like, long story short, but she ended up essentially putting me in a predicament where I have to deal with like another guy that she was personally messing with pretty much. And she ended up lying to the guy, all the other stuff. And then obviously, again, me being logical, me being analytical, remember everything, I obviously disproved that. But she completely did a whole 180 and just completely switched. But at the time, I was always, because I had programmed myself to always figure out what was the problem that I was causing, because I was always causing a problem before, one situation where I didn't have anything to do with it at all, I still blame myself. Yeah. It was so crazy because, Black parents, y'all already know, like, if you do something wrong, your parents gonna get on you. Yeah. My mom didn't even get on me for that, like, at all. Like, she was like, it's that person's fault. It wasn't even she didn't even blame me. Mm-hmm. But I still like, no, it has to be me. Like, this is weird. Like, it's my fault. So she accused me of a lot of different stuff. She was just like, I'm not gonna get into what it was, but she was basically accusing me of a lot of different stuff. And then she had like tried to use another girl and stuff like that, like to blackmail another girl just to get at me. It was just a lot of stuff. And then eventually she tried to pull up to my house to like, yeah, like it was, she tried to straighten me out, quote unquote, with, she brought her guy or whatever, trying to straighten me out or whatever. But yeah, so after that, she obviously, I had my I don't know if it was my stepdad or my mom answer the door, but obviously she put on her little facade, like, hey, da-da. Yeah. But I saw her, like I was literally watching in the window. I saw her come up. I saw what she was. I was like, nah, like, yeah. But again, it's just like, again, like it's people can really switch on you, and I feel like this world is definitely like a very nasty place. Like there's gonna be bad. There's gonna be things that are your fault. There's gonna be things that are not your fault. But let's talk about, because again, this has kind of been like a little heavy.
Yeah. I wanted to say something real
Yeah,
quick.
me
too. I had something I wanted
Oh
to
yeah,
say.
what's your question?
I don't want to take it off the heavy.
Nah.
just yet.
Yeah, me either.
Facts.
How did you guys?
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh.
so I was actually gonna say, and I wanted to. I'm so glad you said that because I wanted to talk about that too. I think I had a unhealthy way of coping with stuff for a while. Because my whole life I was looked at as like Jada, the positive person. I never wanted to allow myself to just like sit in sadness, like before. Like so, I always tried to avoid it. And so even like a couple years ago, I don't know, maybe like 3-4 years ago. No, I don't know. It was some years ago. I know I was living in Atlanta. Maybe I had been living here for a year, but it was on Valentine's Day, and I had got sexually assaulted. And I remember like I had to go to the hospital. They had to do like I don't know if you could say certain words on YouTube, a sexual assault kit. And I remember like feeling so sad. And I don't know, it was like I probably was sad for like a couple days, like just stayed in bed, didn't do anything. And I remember thinking like, I don't like feeling like this. And my family was calling me, like trying to check up on me because I don't have any family here. And I remember like, I was just like, well, I'm just gonna like basically like sweep this under the rug. Like, I was like, I don't want to deal with it. Like, I didn't want to be sad because I didn't like being sad. And so I was like, I'm just gonna like move on. But last year, I realized that that's been my issue. Like, I wasn't dealing with stuff. And so it was just like a constant like, well, I'm just gonna move on. And I feel like sometimes we tell people like, oh, something happened to you, just move on. Mm-hmm. But you don't know like how that actually can affect the person. Like, not saying you should be stuck on something, but it's like, it's more so like deal with what you're feeling and then move on. And I wasn't dealing with anything. So it was just like, yeah, like that's, I feel like I coped with things in an unhealthy way for real.
I would say like, you like parts of your story I relate to, but from a different like angle of why I relate to it. So like just always being like angry since I like was a child, like I was just always like angry in school, like getting in trouble with teachers and like fighting and like just different stuff like that was unnecessary had I like realized before that, okay, like you said, like in every scenario, it can't just be the other person.
It can't just be.
And my mom, like when I would get in trouble with teachers, it's like, so you mean to tell me like nobody, like you didn't do anything. They're just always calling me home because like, they're just always calling me because it's them. It's them. Like they're trying to put something on you. And I just never took like self accountability of like my own actions at that time. And so it just started to form a habit of consistent anger, consistent lashing out on people for no reason, like being rude to people, being nasty. And so like now in like my story of who I currently am, it's like, I can be like the victim in some areas, but you have been the victim in past in other people's stories. So don't portray like as if like, oh, like everything has happened to me. Like, no, so like with my childhood, like I was like angry and I guess I was like looking for attention over time of just like from my mom. Cause like, it was just like my stepdad has been in my life since I was like 2. And so it's just like, he's been in my life since I was 2. Like I remember like writing on the door, like, and this can sometimes happen in a lot of situations where you have a step parent and like, y'all may not you know, go well together as soon as y'all connect. Like I remember writing on the door, like, get away from my mom. Like I don't want you around. Like I wrote that on the door and went to my aunt's house and like why, like he was just like angry about it. And it was like my mom, she was like mad because she was like, why would you write something like that? And she was like, he's here for you, he's been in my life since I was 2, so it's like, why would you write? And this was around the time when I was like 6 or 7, but I was just angry at like the world. Everything was everybody else's fault, everything was this person's fault, everything was the next person's fault. Like, and like my father, like, I don't know, like it took a toll on me of the fact that, and this is not to like paint him out as a bad guy, because this happened over like years ago, but he like used to abuse my mom. And like he would pick me up sometimes, and like he would like, we would come back and he would like literally like abuse my mom, you know, before like once he drops me back off, like even while she was pregnant, like he like strangled her almost to the point where she almost died. While I was in her stomach. And it's just like stuff like that bothers me, because it's like I'll like see like that anger in me, and I'll be like, don't be that person.
Facts.
Don't be that person to other people. Don't be that person to women. Respect women. Like,
facts.
You know, like you see the reflection in yourself. When I look in the mirror, I would have to like fight myself, like fight my pride and my flesh, and like tame myself of like, don't be the person to like always like that's why I got into like boxing and like different things like that, to like let go of that stress. Because my aunt even said like, you know, like both me and my biological dad have a like temper problem, and so like I've learned to like deal with it better. But like when I was a kid, it was really like affecting everything, like just always going off, like always like angry. Like I got kicked out of school, like how you said, like I got kicked out of school, and still when I went to charter school, I still was the problem in the situation. Like I still was getting in trouble. Even my teacher, like my after school teacher, she even like the person who I am now, I feel like that's who she saw me as before. Like she saw me as that, but she saw a shield in front of me. Like, you're trying to, you know, protect yourself from the world. That's why you're acting like this. And she said, you don't, like, she held me and looked at me like, you don't always have to have your guard up all the time. Like you don't always have to be, you know, have your guard up, be defensive, like be on go to like, you know, get at people and different things like that. Like, and just like watching my dad, like, you know, do that. And we never spoke about it. And like, I used to hold this resentment towards him as like, this is what you did. And, you know, I can't forgive you for that. But what my stepdad has taught me to learn is like, whatever them two had going on, that's between them. And so you only get one mom, you only get one dad. So why not just like,
facts.
Why not just like either let it go, like, you know, and just grow from it, because it's only going to hold you back. It's only going to keep you in that space of the past. It's not you're not going to be able to move forward because you're so stuck on, this is what happened. This is what my dad did. This is what, you know, different people, like this is like, I'm always the victim in the story. Like you're always going to play victim. You're always going to feel like the world is beating me down. The world is doing this. And so that's like what I started to deal with as I started like getting older. Like, I'm like, why all of this is still like following me, like the anger, the spazzing out on people and stuff like that. Like, why is it like following me everywhere I go, even in high school? Like in high school, I started to calm down like way more. I didn't get in no fights in high school. I like my freshman year, I had good grades and all of that, but I noticed my temper is still like terrible. And like, I was just going through the rough patch, and like it just dragged for years of just like self-sabotaging, like just constantly self-sabotaging. And the question that he asked of like how Zell asked of how you like deal with it, I deal with it through like multiple ways. That was like, it was like really messing me up. So like eating unnecessary, like feeding yourself terrible stuff for no reason, like just just doing like a porn addiction. And that's real. That's real, like a porn addiction, because like and it can even be a sex addiction, like just like, and I never said that, that's crazy, like just like having those addictions that like you keep falling into it because like you're trying to like cover up this mask of it. Like you're trying to fill a void. Every time you start to get that feeling, every time things start to go good, you want to mess it up. Every time things start to go good, you want to like tear it down. Every time you have a great relationship right in front of you, you want to like break it apart. You want to look for the bad in that person, and all they're trying to do is be there for you.
Because the equilibrium that you're used to is negative. Yeah. So when you get positive, it's like, I got to get back to where I'm used to.
It's like, I don't trust this. Like, this is not what I'm used to. This is not what I know. So like, bring
yourself back down to that low place
every time, and you want to sit there and just sit there in it the whole time. And like towards the year of last year, I realized that like I can no longer sit here from 2019 all the way up until now, just like self-sabotaging myself, constantly doing these things to like keep doing things that'll like, that's filling a void that's not even like, it's not doing anything for you. It hasn't doing anything for you. And like, you got to just get through it. You got to face it now. You got to learn to communicate. You got to learn to speak up, and like, you got to like look past it. You can't keep just, oh, my dad wasn't in my life. You can't keep, oh, like every time something go wrong, I'm gonna eat it away. Every time something go wrong, I'm gonna, indulge in sex. I'm gonna indulge in porn. I'm gonna do all that stuff. Like, you can't keep indulging in that stuff and expecting a new result. It's not gonna change. You have to change for yourself. You have to want to change. Because some people, they'll sit there at the age of, and I'm glad that we're able to look at ourselves now and know what we need to work on, because some people, they'll look at themselves, they'll be 30, 40 and up, and they'll look and be like, oh, my mom did this to me. Your mom did that when you were 6. Why are you still holding on to that?
Now,
Oh, like multiple decades pass and you're still holding on to it, and you have to let it go. Like, at some point, you can't keep blaming your mom. You can't keep blaming your dad. You have to deal with that problem on your own. It's now your problem.
Hey y'all, it's Jada, your favorite couture fashion designer. And I know you're really enjoying this episode, but before you keep watching, I have to tell you, you need to go and check us out on all streaming platforms. Make sure you go follow us right now on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. And make sure you go and get this merch. It look good, don't it? It look good, right? Okay, it can look good on you too. So make sure you go and get the merch, follow us, and now you can continue the episode.
You're now old enough to handle it on your own. And so, yeah, like those are a few ways that I like dealt with it, and like the things that were like reoccurring for me the whole time.
And what y'all say is so funny, because like the biggest problem between like what you just said, like we're not gonna skip over, like you got sexually assaulted, like women deal with that, and that's like, as a guy, as like a man, you're supposed to literally be able to protect women. You're supposed to, again, take care of them, because we have a responsibility for that. Like, as a guy, if we're stronger, obviously biologically, all that stuff, we have a right and we have a responsibility to take care of our women. And the fact that whoever that guy is, we're not going to say who it was, but the fact that he didn't do that is utmost of disrespect to you, right? So that's what there's a lot of women that are dealing with that, and they're probably watching this right now, and they've felt different experiences of that, whether it's like sexually, whether it's like something small, but at the end of the day, all of it's still, again, sexual assault at the end of the day. And like you said, like I feel like the biggest thing for like us as men is like, or like boys, and we see our father and stuff like that, it's like, yo, if you hurt our mom, and it's like, and then it's like, it sucks because it's like, yo, I can't do anything about it yet.
Yeah, it's a rage.
It's like,
for
you just want, but you can't. But now it's like, and then until you release that, it's something about that. Like, because again, like, I can't say that, like, my stepdad was actually, like, he was really good at my mom. Like, again, he's had his, he has his things that he needs to work on. But
all people do.
Right. But he never, like, touched it. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he never, like, I can never say that he did that. I say my biological dad, I don't know. But all I know is he was in a position where, like, when I was a couple months old, he had left my mom. And, like, my mom had to figure that out on her own, and she had to, she literally had to work 3 jobs just to put me, she didn't even have to, but she put me in private school, all that stuff. So, like, I definitely get that, like, yo, like, why weren't you, I've always had this question, like, why weren't you there? Why didn't you do this? Like all of my siblings, except for like 2, we don't have the same mom. Even my littlest sister, we didn't have the same mom. Like, that, I don't even want to get into how she was even conceived, but, like, again, that was not the best way either. But I say, like, in terms of, we're talking about coping, right? And I'd say, like, because for me, it was like I feel like the biggest thing for me was I was going through, it wasn't like a big thing that happened, but it was a collection of multiple different things that I didn't fix that came back to me at once. and I had to deal with it. And then from there, it was just like, I'm about to end this. Like, literally got to a point where it was like I was feeling really suicidal. I think this was during the period when it was a fight that I got into that I didn't start. Like, I didn't start the fight, but no, this is what happened. I got in trouble, and that was my fault. And my parents sent me to school with some shoes or whatever. Like, basically, they send you with the dress shoes and all that stuff. You get made fun of, they joning you, all that stuff. And there was one kid, he was like joning on me, but he was also like hitting on me and stuff like that. And he started everything. And I already knew because everybody, they already got an eye on me. Like, hey, if he gets in a fight, it's me. So I didn't do anything. I was just like, yo, like, let me step back. And he threw, like, so now I got into a position where he was doing most of the aggression. And I was just like, all right, bet, I'm going back. So that I lost. He got in school suspension. I got actual suspended. Mm-hmm. Like, so he started the fight. He was joining me, picking on me, all that stuff. He started the fight. He started everything. And I got suspended for, I think, like a couple of days. And he got in school suspension, and he went back to class next day. Yeah. But he started everything. So I was just like, so that was the one time, like, all right, bet. I didn't even start this. But at the same time, I still got to deal with the backlash here in school, at home, etc. Then come back. And then guess what? When I had to go back, they still sent me to school with the same shoes. Yeah. So it was like, I got to go through the same thing I just went through last week over and over and over again. They said I had to do it for like, I think a month or something like that. So I'm like, I got to do this every single day for like a month. So I literally I just went on the stage at my old middle school, and I literally stayed there the whole day for like, I was telling you, like a whole day for like a minute, like until they saw my grade started slipping, like, and stuff like that. But I stayed on the stage, and I just never went to class. Like, when all the students went out for lunch and stuff like that and they left, I would be like, I would literally get off the stage, go to try to get some food, and then from there get back to the stage. I'm like, I'm not going to class because I already know what's going to happen. And I was kind of sitting with myself and my thoughts on that stage for like a while, because I had plenty of time to think about all the bad stuff. So it started with my sister, and I just started going through, like, relapsing all the bad stuff. And then I got to a breaking point. It was very, very, very bad. But I think my coping, what I did was, my healthy cope was wrestling. That was my healthy cope. Yeah. When I started wrestling, that was the hardest, best thing that's ever happened to me, because the one thing that I wasn't good at was accountability. I was not good at accountability at all. And with wrestling, like with football, basketball, volleyball, those sports where you has a team, there's other people you can blame. But when you step on that mat, you shake hands with your opponent, and the match starts. Whoever wins, they won. Mm-hmm. So it's not no debate. It's not you can't blame. You literally can't blame anyone except yourself in that situation. So you have to it forces you to take accountability. So if you miss weight, if you gotta run, or you gotta drop some pounds, or if you gotta work out, or if you gotta do something, you have to. It's literally on you to do it. But I took out all my anger, and like my first year, I went to regionals. Like the first year, I didn't even know what I was doing, but I went to regionals because I was very adamant about, all right, everything, because I didn't take out, because when I had therapy after, like, I was suicidal and stuff like that, but that didn't help. It just, because I didn't talk, I didn't tell them everything. Yeah, heck no. We never, like, I don't trust you. Like, I don't know you. I don't trust you. So I'm not going to tell you everything. So I was still bottling up inside, but I just found a different way of masking, like, what I'm going through, just to make everybody else feel good, so they didn't give me a hard time to add to it. So basically, it was like I was close to breaking, but the thing that was going to make it break was other people. So I said, bet, I'm going to make sure everybody else is good, and they're not going to force me to break. Yeah. So, but when I got to wrestling, it made me face all that stuff. Like, I had a lot of crying nights, had a lot of just emotional moments, just wrestling in general. Yeah. And I had made it to regionals at that point. But it felt so good just throwing, like, and I could legally do it. It's like I'm not going to jail. Like, I can legally throw people, but I will also get beat up. So, like, and I had to fight. So, like, even like, and everything was like relating to me. Like, all right, even if I was getting pinned down, or even if I was about to lose, it's like the other, like, and it's funny because, like, my coach said this, and this is what kind of made me really emotional. Like, if you're fighting somebody out there, you're fighting yourself. You're not fighting the opponent, because, again, it's a technique thing. It's like, making sure that you're in your own head, making sure you're doing what you need to do. So when I looked at it like that, I said, I'm fighting myself right now and I'm losing. So that hit me. So I was like, I need to win. So my whole thing was I feel like that's what made me really good at it. Cause I was like, I don't want to lose to myself.
You gotta beat your own mind.
I gotta beat my
wrestling,
own mind.
Did they have the timer?
Oh yeah, they had a timer.
Yeah,
it was, you say 6 minutes, it was 2 minutes,
boxing.
3 minute rounds.
Yeah.
Bro, and it seemed quick. But when you in there and you throw
like,
it's not.
You look at the time, it's like, bro, it's still not done.
It's still not done. Like, yeah, because you're literally like, it's one thing you lift and weight, but like you're literally trying to force someone to do something that they are literally trying to force you to do the opposite.
Right.
Yeah. Like, and they're your weight. So like they're your weight. And now you're trying to get them to do a certain thing, especially if you're like doing throws, if you're trying to shoot on them and literally pick them up, throw them, all that stuff. Like, it takes a lot of energy and you still have to have technique and skill.
Yeah.
So like, it's just,
So
I had to do that.
I want to answer your questions. So.
Yeah.
So when I look back, right, I had 2 ways of coping for 2 different seasons in my life, right? One season, right,
Thank you.
was an unhealthy way. So like I said previously, I didn't have a relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
I remember her being in my childhood, like around daycare years. I remember us going to the store. I would spend the night with her or whatever.
Yeah.
But after that, like elementary school and on, like I just wouldn't see her anymore, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that kind of put a wound in me, you know, seeing everybody with their mom and stuff like that and not being able to have that own mommy-daughter relationship.
Fact.
And I used to like just be so hurt that I couldn't do anything about this. Like there's nothing I can do to have this relationship with her because I just can't. Yeah. So I feel like, and now that I look back, I feel like I would subconsciously push people away. So I feel like since my mom was far away from me and I couldn't do anything about that, anytime I'm hurt, I'm like, okay, she's distant and I can't do anything about this. So now whenever I'm in this friendship and I feel hurt, I push you away. Yeah. Because now you're distant. Now I don't have to talk to you. So which affected my communication skills, right?
Yeah.
So pushing people away instead of, and even if I look back in like middle school, high school, I would have so many on and off friendships.
Yeah.
On and off friendships. And it's because I keep pushing them away. Every time they do something, I'm pushing them away. But now I realize internally it was because of the wound with me and my mom, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I dealt with. And then I remember like last year, I struggled really bad with anxiety, like really bad. I don't know where it came from, but it was just a really dark season of like overthinking and spiraling thoughts and you don't belong, you can't do this. Even when I would get in a room, like networking events, it's just all these thoughts in my mind. You don't belong here. You know what I'm saying? You can't do this. You're not talented. You're dumb. And it's just like all these thoughts are spiraling in my mind. And this has gone on for like months. And so now it's like I'm kind of walking in like a dark season. And then it's like I'm keeping it to myself at the same time. Yeah. So now when I'm talking to people, it's like I'm not really connecting with them as much because I'm dealing with something, but I don't want to tell you, right? And I don't want to be vulnerable and let you know that I'm going through this. So I'm going to just act like it. But surface level, you can tell something's not right with me. Like even me just being in my room all day, like, you know what I'm saying? I would have so many breakdowns with me just running to the closet, praying and crying. Like, you know what I'm saying? Journaling. And it's like the enemy was just in my mind so much, telling me so many lies that I was believing. And it was really like it felt like a dark cloud was literally over me. Yeah. Everywhere I went, everything I did, it's like a just dark cloud with and it's like the rain is just negative words. Yeah. And it's like I'm soaking in the rain.
You can't even believe the positive word.
Yeah. So now it's like, okay, boom, this person's being positive. Now I'm mad. Like, why are you so positive? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Like, what's wrong?
Now, my grandma trying to show me love, but why are you trying to show me love right now? You know, it's like, because I have all this darkness inside of me, and I don't know how to let it go. Like, And it would be the littlest things, bro. And in this season of my life, it would be the littlest thing, and my mind would just blow it up.
Yep.
And now, like, this person said, like, say somebody said a little joke. My mind blows it up. Oh, so now this is what you're saying about me? And now I'm mad at you. No, now we can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mind in this season, like, I was just so sensitive about everything. And I didn't understand why. I still don't understand. Well, I feel like I went through that so God can make my mindset stronger.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know I was weak in that area. So now I know I was weak, and now it's stronger now. But in that season of like just walking with a dark cloud over me, I would journal. Like, journaling really helped me, because it's like in the moment you feel all these emotions and your thoughts are spiraling. You write it out, right? Take a nap, come back, bro, I was tripping. Like, I was tripping. What am I writing about?
Yeah.
And then even if it's like me praying to God and like worshiping, like I would just worship and just tell God, give God my weight, right? And like even with that, like it would help, but then it's like I go back and like I got the weight off of me, but now I go to sleep next day and now I feel the weight again.
The same way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I remember when we were at that first call we were on, and I said your thoughts never stop. Like, it's like the enemy never stops. Like, he's gonna keep trying until he wears you out.
Yeah.
And bro, it's always gonna be around a time where your breakthrough is near.
Yeah.
He's going to try so hard to break you down when he sees you're close to something that God has for you. Yeah. It's almost like a test. Like, if you can't get through this, then will you be able to handle what God's about to give to you? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, even in the Bible with the Israelites, they were in the wilderness for God didn't want them to be in the wilderness for as long as they were. They were like in the wilderness for like 40 years or something like that. I don't really remember. But that wasn't God's plan for them. Yeah. At all. That wasn't God's plan for them, you know? So, yeah, bro. We can't, like, I realized I can't be so in my mind about things. Yeah. Because sometimes it's really not that serious. Yeah. Sometimes it's really not that serious. And it's my emotions that's really just blowing us out of proportion. Yeah.
What? You want to go? Oh,
you could go.
All right. So, like, one thing, like, what y'all saying, like, what you said about, like, how we both said about, like, living, you couldn't see past that moment of where you currently were. I don't know, like, at one point, I was like, just, like, do it. Like, just, you know, do that. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know, something always in the back of my mind was subconsciously telling me, like, don't. Because when you get past this, watch it. You're gonna be able to help other people. Watch, you're gonna be able to tell your story. It's gonna impact other people. So it's like, don't do that. Because if you do it, then that just that stops everything. That stops everything. That stops right where you are. That's gonna stop everything. And you haven't healed. You haven't dealt with the problems with your dad. You haven't dealt with the problems with yourself. You haven't dealt with the addictions that you have and different things like that. And so like even the negative and the stress and anxiety, like everything was like you said, like your grandma, I'm like my stepdad, my mom, like every time they try to show me love, I'm like, bro, like what are you doing? Like that, I'm not feeling that. Or like you don't even get a break to like just have a good day. As soon as you start having a good day, it's like you wake up and it's already feeling like hell. Like dang, like here we go again. Like I gotta get past another 24 hours. Right? Yeah, just sad, just like fear, like just like bro, like I don't know what to do. Like I can't get out this space. I can't get out of this mindset. And like remember, Yanni, when we started the accountability book club, I was like, something is telling me to like fast, because I was like, at this point it's like, don't go into another year doing this to yourself, beating yourself down, telling yourself like you're nothing, telling yourself like you're not worth anything, telling yourself like you don't deserve what you have, telling yourself like, you're not as talented as the next person. That's like something that you said that you dealt with as well. Like telling yourself all of these lies, and they start to amplify in your mind, and you start to live that reality. Like you said, like live that reality of this is my life. This is what I have to deal with, and I can't get out of it. Like it stops right here. And we just gotta have to rock it out. And when I did that fast, it really put me in the mindset of, are you really gonna stick to it? Are you gonna stick to it, or are you gonna, as soon as something happens, as soon as you start feeling stress, anxiety, as soon as you start feeling like tense in your body and like these negative thoughts, are you gonna fight it off, or are you just gonna let it pull you right back in where you were, and that where you've been at?
And something I realized is that, like, now I know how the enemy moves, right? He tries to plant a lie, and I say that, I feel like I say this all the time, but he plants a lie. And it's based on us if we water it or not, right? So us watering that lie is believing it, right? So now I know that whenever I get a lie or I get a thought that doesn't sound like something God would say to me, I cut it off. Like the Bible says to cast down high thoughts, right? So now I know, okay, this is not a thought of God. This is not something God would say to me. This isn't beneficial to me. This thought is telling me I'm dumb. This thought is telling me I'm not worthy. This thought's telling me I can or I don't equal. No, this is a lie. So boom, what does the Bible say? Okay, boom, I made you. God said he made us in the image of God.
Yeah.
So I can't be dumb.
You can't be. You can't.
Yeah. You know, I'm not going to water that lie because I know I'm not.
Yeah.
But it's like a temporary, like a belief system that we have towards a negative idea. And to answer like your question, you was like, well, why couldn't we see past like our age and why we push ourselves to that suicidal point? I think suicide is not just I'm going to wake up and then just like off my, it's never that. It's like something either really bad happened all at once or something happened gradually over a period of time, and then from there it's
a buildup.
It's a buildup. But like for like everybody that's like, again, like everybody that's listening to this and you're trying to figure out like, okay, well, how can I visualize overcoming this issue? Look at it this way. You know how to get the analogy. It's like basically driving, and the reason we can't, like, if you're driving a car, right, and it's raining outside, the reason you can only see so far if your window's clear. If it's not, then there's only going to be so much you can see, and then from there you start slowing down until eventually you stop because you can't go any further because you literally can't see anything. So suicide represents stopping because there's nothing, we can't see anything ahead. So we stop where we are because we can't move forward, because logically in our head we've told ourselves we can't go forward instead of figuring out a solution on how to clear up the windows, and then from there it's literally the windshield wipers. So what windshield wipers do you have in your life, and what settings do you have them on to get yourself to a place where you can clear up all the stuff? Because again, the rain's gonna come, but like the way that I cope with it for me was, again, wrestling. So when I had, again, a lot of rain and all that stuff was pouring down on me, I said wrestle, and I would get it off my view, and then from there it gave me enough time before the storm passed to realize, okay, bet I took accountability for myself through wrestling for this long, aka I turned my windshield wipers on for this long. I drove through this rain for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, and now the weather's passed. Now the storm is clear. Now I can see everything clearly. But that's because you essentially got all that stuff out of your way so you can see it, because again, the storm is going to come, but it's also going to pass. But we don't see that because we're so stuck in all the negative things that's building up right there instead of getting rid of it. But it's not that we can't get rid of it. We're just getting rid of it with the wrong thing. Yeah. Because like if we put the windshield wipers on once, like speed 1, if there's 5 speeds and we put it on speed 1 and it rain's pouring down, that's not going to be enough to get rid of the rain for us to be able to see. We have to turn it on a higher setting, but we don't know how to get it to that higher setting, which is why we kind of pull back a little bit. Right. We don't really know. So like, what solution would you say like we can all give to somebody in our specific situations? Like what we specifically went through, what way can we essentially use the highest setting windshield wiper to get the negative rain off of our car so we can drive through the storm?
For me, I'd say focus on what God says. You know, I'm always going to take it back to the Bible.
Yeah.
I'd say look and see what God says. The Bible says that in hard times produce endurance, right? So it may be really hard right now, but it's making you stronger, right? And also, I know that every season, like everything doesn't last. Nothing lasts forever. Yeah. Like there's a season for everything. So even in my darkest moments, I look back and I couldn't see how I would make it out. I couldn't see how it would work out. Couldn't see. But it ended up working out. Every hard season we've had in our life ended up working out, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
I would say it's so much stuff I wanted to add on.
Keep going.
I'm sorry. No. Keep going. Matter of fact, yeah. We can let this one be a longer one.
Answer the question and then add what you have to
Facts,
say on.
Yeah.
Well, part of my answer really ties into the question, but I want to say I feel like it's really important to unpack.
Yeah.
That was like a key thing for me, like realizing that there was a bunch of stuff that I wasn't dealing with. And so that kind of, okay, like how you mentioned, like journaling and stuff like that. I had to like sit down and really like question myself, like ask myself the hard questions that I've been avoiding for like years, and really see like, how do I feel about this? Okay, well, why do you feel like that? Why are you hurt by that?
Right, yeah.
Well, where did that come from? Like, and I literally will continue to break that down, like, till I get to the root, basically. Like, that's what I think we have to do, is get to the root of why do you feel what you are feeling. And then after that, you have to figure out, well, how am I going to move past it? And so I feel like what helped me move past things was basically starting to, like, I actually heard this somewhere else, and I was like, this is so crazy because this is the same thing I did. But it sounds so simple, but me actually getting like a routine helped a lot, like developing a routine of consistency, but not just like random stuff, like consistently doing the things that pour into me, that it was another word I was looking for, but we'll just say pour into me.
Yeah.
But so yeah, like literally like focusing on the things that I'm grateful for. I like to talk about that all the time, but like focus on the things that I'm grateful for, making it a priority to like really get to know God, like really develop a relationship with God. Even like how you mentioned fasting and stuff like that is so good for you, like getting a clear mind to really see like what you not only what you're feeling and what you're dealing with, but what does God want for you? What is that next step He wants for you?
Yeah.
And so like reading like books, but also like making sure I'm reading the Bible, prayer, meditation, and so doing these things on like a daily basis. It basically created like a solid foundation for me.
Yeah.
And so when those thoughts did come up, I had something to anchor on to. Like, we basically have to reprogram ourselves.
Facts.
Right? Like, you have to reprogram your mind. If you are so used to being sad, that's like a learned habit. That's something that's ingrained in you. And so you literally have to reprogram yourself. And I feel like that's one of the hardest things you could do sometimes, to really change your mind, reprogram your mind, to change your way of thinking and going from one belief to a new belief. I feel like it takes for real work and like consistency. It's that. So I feel like that is some of the main things that has helped me. And even it was something else you said about, I think you said something about people would ask you how you felt. Yeah, and you wouldn't want to tell them like there was something wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, stuff like that. I was like one of the type of people that would suffer in silence. Because I feel like I had to just be happy. Yeah. Or like be happy, Jada, or whatever.
Yeah, the persona, the facade that you had to keep up.
And so I remember even like at one point, this was a few years ago, like maybe 2.5 years ago or so, something like that. But I, like, stuff was so bad for me financially. And I didn't even have like money for food, but I didn't even want to ask like for help. Like I didn't want to tell people like I'm struggling, I really need help right now. And just like with different things in my life, I feel like I never want to be like, I'm struggling, like I really need help right now, I really need someone there right now. And so I think opening up to your community as well is like something that is super helpful. But for whatever you decide to do, I feel like the main thing is being consistent at it. Like how you like like you refer to scriptures, which pull you out of that, like pull you out of these dark places. But if you were to just read those scriptures once a month or once every 2 months, that's not going to do nothing for you, because how you have already been programmed, how your mind has been programmed, is like to the sadness and the negative thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just like you literally have to say, I am going to try every single day to whatever it is I'm going to do to help prioritize like my mental, my emotions, all of that. Like I'm going to stick to it every single day. And so, yeah.
Bro, it's literally a battle.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
The Bible
says
a
battle, a war in your mind.
Yeah,
we
we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and rulers of the unseen world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Like, these problems we're dealing with are in the spiritual realm. Like, that's why when I felt a dark cloud, it's no dark cloud, but it's in the spiritual realm. It's the so enemy.
Heavy,
There's not an actual dark cloud above you, but you think there is.
Exactly. It's the enemy. Like, it's in the spirit, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I feel like that's why I always go back to the Bible, because I'm like, to fight things in the spirit, you're going to need spiritual tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you want to fight the darkness, which is in the spirit, if you want to fight that depression, that anxiety, use the weapon God gave you, the word of God, because that's where the truth is at.
Yeah.
And then you can, boom, and it's going to take work. Like, it's not, like I said.
It's not easy.
Like I said, I would pray and the feeling would go off of me, but then it would come back. So it's a work in progress, but you have to continually work at it as if you're literally in war, because we are.
That reminds me of like, it was like a realization that I had, I think sometime last year. But that's why it also talks about like in the word, it talks about like pray without ceasing.
Yes.
Like staying in prayer. I realized like with anything we have to stay connected to God. Like, and like with anything, like say like with whatever you want for your life, for healing, like when you're fighting these battles, you are literally like, what's going to get you through that is staying like connected to God. And so it's just like, you have to know how to do that, you know? Or like work on that work. Like it literally takes work to remain connected to God. Like my a pastor that I used to follow, he used to use he would use an example when he talks about like phone chargers. And he was like, you can't just charge up your phone like, oh, it's on 100% and think like you're good. Like you could just go forever without like recharging it. Like God represents our source. Like God is what charges us up. And so you have to continuously go back and like recharge, plug into your source. Because if you only charge your phone once every month or whatever, you're going to have a dead phone most of the month. So you have to continuously plug into your source, and just try and remain connected to God to get you through whatever you're trying to go through, to improve your life, whatever the case may be. So
and then also to go back to talk about spiritual warfare, it's important we don't use the wrong tools when we're battling. Like Trey said, he said, okay, sorry, I was laughing at something. But I was laughing at Trey's face. But like Trey said, he said sorry, this is the wrong moment to laugh, bro.
I feel like I know what she's laughing at, but talk about it.
Okay. Snap out of it. Okay. So like you were saying, Trey.
Go ahead.
What's going on?
Go ahead.
Next person. At this point, I gotta get myself together.
One more thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
As far as like, I wanted to talk about voids, or like trying to fill a void.
Yeah.
Bro, you make me laugh.
Y'all need to
be getting serious, bro. Come on.
Y'all had something else.
Let's talk about. Okay, look. All right. Look.
No, I had something important I had to say, bro. The enemy will not take this from me.
Exactly.
So what I had to say was, so like we were talking about spirit. about spiritual warfare, right? Like you.
What face are you making? Shay, like, bro.
Yo, go ahead.
Bro,
Just
come
look.
on, I gotta get this out of me,
Get it
bro.
out.
Be
No.
straight face. Look, you got it.
I'm just gonna talk to you at this point because I can't look over there.
All right.
Like we were talking about spiritual warfare, right?
Yeah.
So Trey was saying how he used tools like he was porn, right?
Yeah.
Porn.
Yeah.
Porn was-
So listen,
All
bro.
of that stuff.
We gotta make sure we're not using the wrong tools when we're battling. Listen. Using the wrong tools while you're battling things in the spirit is like going to war with a target foam sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Phone
fake.
story, yeah. It's not gonna
It's
help you.
fake. It's flimsy. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
You're trying to take down something that's not gonna
Yeah.
truly take
Fake
it down.
perfection.
It's gonna fill that void temporarily, but eventually you're gonna need more of it,
Yeah.
and then it's like you're feeding a beast,
Yeah.
right?
Even the like the eating thing, like
Exactly.
it was like I'm not even hungry, bro, but it's
But
just
you're
like
still doing it.
it's just like you feeling a certain way, you feeling overwhelmed, you feeling stressed, you feeling this anxiety. So let me fill this void quickly. Let me fill this void quickly, and let me like it got to a point of last year where I was just like I don't even because the way that like depression occurred was from the past trauma, from like moving drastically, and then even like just from like like you said, the boxing.
Yeah.
I mean the wrestling.
Yeah.
Mine was boxing. I got into boxing to push that energy somewhere else.
Yeah.
And to put it into use. When I boxed, I was like thrilled. Like it made me feel like I don't know, like it just made me feel a certain
Yeah.
way.
I feel
Like,
you alive.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
feel fueled, and like even just fighting in the ring, like you gotta stay in the ring unless you want to get laid out. Like
Unless you wanna get laid out,
you gotta
yeah.
stay in the ring, and you gotta like not focus on the time, focus on you. And when I say focus on you, yes, there's another person in front of you, but really
Yeah.
you're fighting your own mind. You're
Fighting
fighting your
yourself.
own battle. You gotta keep you gotta stay. It's mind over matter when you're in that ring and when you're fighting that person. You're
Yeah.
not fighting them. You're fighting yourself. You're trying to make sure that you're like moving your head, you're ducking your head, and you're like pivoting and getting around the ring and all of that stuff. So like when I was doing the overeating, the porn addiction, the different stuff like that, like even like the like pushing my family away, like I don't want to be around y'all, closing my door, locking my door. I used to do that a lot. Like whenever stuff get overwhelming, I lock my door. I don't want to talk to anyone. And
Yeah.
so like that was just a thing of me just like trying to get through it, like trying to figure out a way that, but it, like you said, it doesn't really help you. It
doesn't help.
do anything
It's a
for
fake
you.
sword.
It's a fake sword, and it's
In a
like
real battle.
a real battle. And like
Yeah.
that dark cloud, I felt the same exact way. The negative thoughts, the like, bruh, like I can't even like pull myself to like cry about it anymore, because I'm just grateful that I did
Yeah.
get through it. Like
Yeah.
this is now, I feel like this year is the breakthrough of like getting past all of that and sharing that with people, because it's not something that I'm going through no more. It's something that I feel like I have got over. Whenever I start feeling like a bad day, I'm wiping, like I'm knocking that off. Like that can't stay on me. That can't stay in my vision. I know there's a bigger goal towards where I'm going. So I can't just sit here and think about like, oh, this like, you know, like this thought is coming back up in my head. If it's coming back up in my head, let me write it down real quick so that I can see like, all right, you had this thought, and then what triggered you in that moment? Like what occurred that day or in that moment for you to start thinking that way? Like why
Facts.
is it that thought, why is that thought coming back up in you? Like figure out your triggers, figure out like what is triggering you each time. What is triggering me to watch porn? What is triggering me to eat every time like stuff get overwhelming? What happened? Why are you overwhelmed? Because 9 times out of 10 there's a consistent pattern when you're going through stuff
No,
like
there's
that.
always a consistent
Absolutely.
pattern.
Always a consistent
Yeah.
pattern when you're going through stuff like that. So you have to see what triggers you. You have to write it down, journal it. I literally have my journal. I didn't bring it in, like it's outside, but
Yeah.
I wrote every day. I literally looked at the book, and like every day was almost it felt like I was reliving the same day every single day. Like it felt like the same exact day, 24 hours straight. It felt like I was living the same exact day over and over. I'm having a bad day. This happened. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I'm not fulfilling orders. I'm self-sabotaging business relationships and different things like that. Like I'm just doing everything to like tear myself down when I really should be building myself up. I deserve this. I deserve to be in this position. I deserve to attain these things that I have, and I'm not gonna let something in my past to dictate my future. I can't let that happen, because that's not a part of me. That doesn't align with where I'm trying to go. That doesn't align with who I am now. Like I can't. The future, I mean, the past is the past. I can't change it, but I can dictate my future and determine of where I'm heading. So I'm not going to let something that happened in the past that I can't change, but I can remember. You can forgive, but you can't forget. Like you can, you can block it out. You can like sweep it under the rug, but it's always going to come back up unless you cut the root of it. Unless you get to the root of it, it's always going to remain there. So you have to figure out those triggers. You have to figure out like, what is it that is bothering me so I can get past this, so I can face it on my own. Like that's what I've learned, is to face things head on. Don't stare away from it. Face it head on and move forward with it. Yeah, you definitely got to do that. Like even with the voids and stuff like that. Like it's so interesting because like, again, I like to be analytical too. Like I journal like a lot, like man. Like I just break it down because like with me, like again, like because if I mess up, I know it's my fault, so I'm trying to figure out what's the root cause of it, like essentially messing me up pretty much, like because again, like porn was my problem too, and then now recently it was like, just sex and stuff like that. Like I thought it was filling a void, but in reality it was just like self-gratification. It was quick gratification. Like the reason, like, and like to everybody listening, like the reason we say journal, like you might be like, well, why do I have to journal? Why do I have to? I didn't like journaling at one point. Like I was just like, why am I writing this stuff down? It's really helpful, but like here's the reason, like why it's helpful, because again, like we have to think logically about it. Why is journaling helpful? Because we're breaking down the root of the issue that we're going through. We're writing it out. We can clearly visually see, and we're processing everything. So, and we're cutting off everyone else. Like you just said, like, hey, because like the situation with your mom, you kept her distant, right? So, but when you journal to yourself, you didn't keep yourself distant because you have to live with yourself every day. So when you're distancing from everybody else, that's fine, but at least talk to yourself about it.
Yeah, and not only that, I feel like when you journal, that gives you the opportunity to say the things that you may not feel strong enough to say to other people. And so it allows you to be at least vulnerable with yourself, like honest with yourself in that moment. And so I feel like that's another reason, like why it's really helpful.
That's true.
I feel like you're able to, we have so many thoughts in a day. I got to do this. I got to accomplish this. I got to, I got to show love to my mom. I got to do this. Like we have so many thoughts in a day. Like, and it's like, if you just keep it all in your mind is cramming, trying to figure out what do I focus on? Like, where am I going to focus? When you write it down, you're able to see exactly what you need to focus on. It's decluttering your mind. It's your trash can. Like, say when you got a trash can on your laptop, and you declutter everything in order to free up that space on your laptop or your desktop. Like, you're doing that when you journal. You're decluttering your mind. You feel like, I feel a relief once I write every little thing down that's bothering me. Every little thing I'm proud of. I love myself. I'm proud of myself for doing this. I appreciate myself for, showing if you put in small increments of effort, that's what matters most. It's not about achieving this big goal. All at once. Like Facts. It's not about achieving this big goal all at once. You have to do it in small pieces. You have the same amount of time you've been sitting there depressed, the same amount of time you've been overeating, having a porn addiction. And that's crazy because I didn't even know you were we dealing with the same thing. We didn't talk about it. You have as well. That's crazy. And we all sitting here in front of each other, but the fact that we're brave enough to speak on it, this is freeing somebody else, because a lot of times we do things in the dark that we're afraid to put in the forefront and share with people who may be dealing with the same exact thing.
It's hard to talk about that stuff, like
you feel shame.
It's shame. I was just telling you,
but the thing is, stuff we go through isn't new. Like there's nothing new under the sun. So what we're going through, somebody else probably dealing with this, just like now.
Everybody's listening to this is going through the same thing.
Exactly. And then also what you were talking about, writing stuff out, journaling. It's like, and decluttering your mind, right? It's like throwing up in a trash can and seeing, I didn't know that was in there. That's how writing it out is. So you write it out, come back later, and you're saying, wait a minute, there's a pattern here. Wait a minute.
You're deciphering
This is the
everything.
problem. This is the root. You know, that's what I realized for myself. Journaling, you can see things that you won't notice if you just keep it in your mind. You're not telling nobody. You're just keeping it to yourself.
Your mind's not meant to do that. Like I think somebody, it was a psychologist that said, like, your mind is meant to process information, not meant to retain it. So that's why I was supposed to like even billionaires, I listened to affirmation stuff like that and motivational things. And there was this one billionaire, he said, my problem is not the amount of opportunities in the world, it's the problem of time and implementing all the ideas, because there's so many that I can do, but I can't retain them all. Right. So I just pick one thing and I focus on it. So like even with journaling, we're documenting everything because our brain is not meant to retain all of it. We're supposed to literally go process it, put it down on paper, and then go back to it. And then from there, we start processing it from there. Because again, like you said, when you wake up, it's a new day of pain and a new day of like struggle that you have to go through. So you have to document what that is like. And it's funny because like, I was telling, like, I didn't tell anybody about it. Jada, you were the first person I told about it, in terms of like what I was going through. But only reason, I don't even know why I was transparent with you about it, but I don't know. I just didn't think you would like abuse that knowledge and stuff like that. So I was just like, okay, bet. And you know, you were vulnerable about your situation as well. So I thought you would, you know, kind of get it in terms of the shame behind it, right? And it's very shameful. Like the feeling is shameful in itself, but like the reason behind it is not shameful. The reason we're doing it, again, like there's always a reason why. Like we're trying to fill a void, or we're trying to feel something inside of us that we don't already have, right? Like there's certain people, like I start understanding that some of the stuff that's like some rappers and stuff like that, and even certain people go through in terms of when it comes to relationships and intimacy and just that what's it called, that level of like, because we're just chasing so like soul tie, like the love you feel for that person, or like even like the energy you're giving off, like that stuff is like powerful. But like the reason we're doing is because there's like a quick dopamine release we can get to give us that quick feeling of good, but then right after, like slowly after, it's just like shame. But even at the same time,
remember at the place that we went to, the vegan place, when we went there, you were like, we had made a quick little joke like, oh, like you fall asleep after you fall asleep, right after release. And it's like, but it's not funny, because it's really something that you dealing with. Facts. But we make jokes out of it because we wouldn't upfront say it how we saying it right now.
We don't want to talk about it. Because we'll make a joke about it, but we won't take it seriously. Like that's a real conversation. Like you really got to talk about your stuff. If there's something that you're going through, or there's a void that you have, we got to talk about it more. Because I didn't even know that you were going through that. Like I didn't, because I was putting like I was holding everything in, like I didn't tell nobody nothing when it came to trading, when it came to like nothing, business, everything. Cause there was always this persona or facade that I had to create. And if you saw through that, I feel like I wouldn't be loved anymore. I feel like I wouldn't get the same amount of treatment, all that stuff, right? I wouldn't get respect. I wouldn't feel appreciated. I wouldn't feel valued, because again, like I got like, even when it came to teaching, like when I came to trading, the people I was it was so funny because the people I was teaching was getting better results than I was, and I felt kind of a way about that. So I had to I literally started lying and saying, oh, I was making even though I wasn't. But because I was getting the value for them, it was like the gratification I got
lying from part.
Because I don't want to look a certain way. I rather I'm more focused on how I look than how I am. And that's we care about that so much as kids, because, and I feel like the reason we deal with that as kids is because, again, like when we have the child parent thing, right? Our parents are the people we're trying to get validation from typically. It's like, so we're seeking validation from an external force, and if we don't get it, we need it from somewhere. So we reach to these easily accessible things like fast food, like porn, like sex, like getting into bad relationships, like
social media, posting a picture and you trying to you're trying to get likes, to get appreciation,
just to get appreciation, because you can't get that from home. Like again, like all of that stuff is just filling a void that we haven't dealt with, and all of it's mental. But like the hardest fight you can do, and I feel like it's so funny because even with wrestling being like the hardest sport, it wasn't hard physically. It was hard mentally. Because I had to literally mentally fight like it even I had to literally tell myself going into a situation that I thought, oh, I would lose or this would be a bad situation. I still had to fight against the negative thoughts that I had towards the situation and still do it. Like I still had to take accountability. I still had to fight. I still had to get through it. And it's gonna be a fight. Like I even like again, like we're not always going to be perfect. We're not always going to
have it all together.
You know, have it all together. Like you're going to like we're kids, we're young, we're teenagers, we're supposed to mess up. That's literally saying like enjoy being a kid. Yeah, because again, like you can make those mistakes. It's okay. Like I think what everybody needs to know, like even from all of our situations, like we got really dark, like kind of dark and a little bit deep. But like the one thing.
A lot deep.
A lot deep.
And I also the other stuff, like we talked about just like porn and stuff like that, but like smoking, drinking,
like,
all of that stuff, dating different people,
going out to the club.
You don't want to face your own reality, so it's like you're going out to these clubs, these bars every single night just to escape.
When I went to the club, the first time I went to the club, Miami. Wait, actually, I can't say that.
Now you telling on yourself,
but no, it was an 18 up club.
The club.
The 18. Remember we was in what was it? Miami.
There was no club in Miami.
Remember when we went to what's it called, the conference.
I wasn't there.
There was
a club. We went to what was that, bar or club or something like that? We all went. Yes. Yeah. Where we guess. We went there. That was the first time. Okay. That was the first time I ever been in like a club that was playing music and stuff like that. And I was just looking at everybody. I'm like, all these people are escaping something.
Yeah.
Everybody,
yes. Thought that before.
It's like, what are you trying to escape? Crazy. Because like I was looking at the prices of drinks and then just the energy, money throwing and stuff. Like, what are you avoiding?
Everybody it felt like that. Like everyone is escaping something, bro. That's literally like, that's why I don't like going to the clubs, because when I go there, that'd be my mind. Like, that's what I think. Like, I feel like everyone here is just trying to escape something.
They're not celebrating.
Like, no one's not even really enjoying themselves. Everything is just like for show. So you can feel validated. Like, oh, I got these bottles. I got these girls in my section. Or for the girls, like, oh, like, I look good. All these dudes paying attention to me. Or, oh, look at my life. It's so fun. Even though I am literally dying inside. Or even though my life really sucks right now. But I'm about to make it seem like my life is so great right now.
Yes.
We're putting advantage
put it
over
on a song, Sandra's Rose, I believe. He was saying like how like a girl will take a few pictures on vacation and then post them like months later that make it seem like as
just
if,
to make
like,
it seem like
just to put on a facade for people and make it seem like you're okay. And
you
then
can't
when you
even
talk
seem
to
present.
them, it's like you're not really okay. You're hurt inside too. You hurt just like the rest of the world. You got problems just like the rest of the world. And the one thing that I will say about just like depression and all of that stuff as a whole, it never comes a day where like everything is perfect.
Yeah,
there's always gonna be something that you have to like fight against, and like, and not saying it has to be fought against in a hard way. Even like you said, of just like having God in your corner and like he's helping you get through this. He's helping you in a positive way get through it. You're not looking at it like, oh, here we go again. Like the world is beating me down. Like you're always gonna have something that like you have to fight against. It's just about how you react to it, how you handle it, and that's what's gonna like keep you pushing forward. If you just sit there and like sit in it, you stop. It's a standstill, and you're gonna be stuck in that phase in that one dimension for until you're ready to get out of it.
That's true.
Something else that you had said earlier, and you talked about like baby steps. Oh, you talked about baby steps. And I feel like journaling can be that baby step, because I'm thinking about for the people who are like really, really low, it can be so hard to take that first step. And I think just writing out how you feel could be a great first step for a lot of people. I feel like it's one of the easiest things we can do. And just like start there. So I just wanted to like add that. Like, that's true. I think that's like a good starting point for people to like pull yourself out of these situations. It's just to start writing it down.
Yeah. This has been a really good conversation. Like, and to everybody watching again, like if some of this stuff related to you, like again, like it's not to say like, oh yeah, we're going through the same thing. It's like, all right, bet we're going through the same thing, but like, how can we fix it?
Let's work.
Like how can we work towards it? Like strong, like
facts,
stronger than we were before, because we all made it to the other side of everything that we were dealing with, and so. I feel like this just reminded me of this quote, but I feel like sometimes it's easy for people to think like, woe is me, or my life sucks so much and it's just my life.
Yeah.
But you're not just the only person going through it. Like, everybody is dealing with life. But you have to focus on like recovering, like bouncing back from that, you know? In Think and Grow Rich, it's the Black version. They said the difference between people who are successful, they stopped talking about there's a difference between the people that are successful and the people that are failures. And they were like, they did a survey, and the successful people just went through just as much bad, sad, terrible, depressing stuff as the failures did. They said some even worse, you know? But the difference was the successful people learned how to deal with it, and they pushed past it. And so that's what we have to keep in mind. And I know that could be so much like,
it's easier said than done
because it really, really, really takes work. Like, I know how it feels to wake up and automatically be sad. Like, wake up and you're just reminded of everything that's on your plate right now.
Yeah,
and
you remember who you are.
Start the day sad, you know? And so I know how that feels, but like, you have these people here, us, Zell, and we have all been through really sucky things, and we're no more special than the next person, right? So if we are able to like get through those situations, then I know that the people out there are able to too.
Yeah, and also I would say a good tactic for getting through hard times is focusing on what's going right, focusing on what you're thankful for,
consciously.
Like, even in the book of Genesis, the snake made Eve focus on what she didn't have. Yeah, and she had the whole garden to herself.
She was the first woman ever.
Yeah, she forgot about all that she had. Yeah, was focusing on this one fruit that she couldn't have, right?
Yep.
And I feel like that's sometimes what we do subconsciously. We focus so much on what's going wrong when it's like, but we're healthy. Okay, but we have working limbs. Okay, but we have this. Okay, but we have our fit. You know, it's gonna be something that's in our life that's hard to deal with, but God's not going to just place you in a hard season with nothing good in your life to help you push through. Yeah. So I would say focusing and being more intentional on the good around you can definitely help you push through.
Because there's two sides of everything. Like, there's good can't exist without bad. Bad can't exist without good. So it's literally 50-50. You choose what you want to focus on. And I will say this, negativity is so much easier to focus on than positive because there's so much of it.
It is.
We talked about that with the music, all of that.
It's easier to listen to like the bad music than listen to the good music. Like, because the reason, actually, matter of fact, I lied. Negativity is not easier to listen to than positive. It's just we consciously like, and when we say conscious and unconscious, like, to simplify what those words mean, conscious is like actively, and then unconscious is automatic.
Right.
So first you actively do something and then it becomes an automatic habit, right? So if we are actively being negative, or we're actively thinking of negative things, or we're actively doing this and we do it for a longer period of time, it becomes unconscious. So therefore now it's an automatic thing. Right. So we're automatically negative. We're automatically doing this. So now, since we're automatically doing one specific thing, it's going to be very, very, very hard to do the opposite. Right. That's why positivity is so hard, because again, the world is consistently pushing a negative agenda. Right. You have to, like, even different things. Yeah. Because even like there's simple things like, again, like, we have so many different things like sexism, racism. There's so many different like ways that we try to condemn each other, Democrat, Republican. Like, do y'all really think, like, think about this too? And someone said this too. I was thinking about this in the thing, and even Jay-Z was talking about it. Like, he's a billionaire. When he walks in the rooms with other billionaires, do you think they look at him and they're like, ah, dang, he's black, I don't want to sit with him? He's made $1 billion. They don't care. They don't talk about none of that stuff. Well, they're gonna figure. They're gonna ask for him, network with him. It's not gonna be no opposing sides. It's not gonna be no opposition. It's not gonna be no who do you like? What are like? They're not gonna ask that. They just know, hey, I know what it took for you to get here, so I have a genuine level of respect for you. Even if we don't have the same values, even if we don't have the same background, even if we weren't from the same place, I still respect you as a human being because I know where you came from. We're in the same room, and there's no opposition whatsoever. But because of where we are and with social media, we're just exposed to negative things constantly, consistently. And then from there, we're like, all right, bet there has to be some type of opposition. Like the fact that we're all pretty much going through the exact same thing and we still haven't talked about it until now literally goes to show that, hey, we're trapped in this matrix or this facade that, everything is negative and I'm the only one that has to deal with it and we have to do it by ourselves. Literally, the reason we think we have to do it by ourselves is because that's just negative programming. Why no one ever does anything great by themselves. A war is never done good by yourself. Like most, matter of fact, Bruce Lee, all these different people you see like warriors, they like, they're fighting off all these people by themselves. No, he had a sensei. He was taught by somebody. Like there's always somebody else connected to the reason why you're able to get to your next destination or your next place in life. So never just do it by yourself. So even if you are quote unquote by yourself, talk to God, journal, like all these little things you can do. Like don't stay in that place.
Your mind and your emotions.
It's gonna take work though. And everybody think it's gonna be easy. Like you gotta, like, it's gonna be hard. Like it's hard now.
The one thing I'll say of like how we all didn't know we like experienced the same thing. Every day, like we walk outside and we put on a mask.
And we put on
something that will make people, what you said, of something that will make people believe I am this person. Like when I walk out the door, this is who I am. This is who I reside with. And like, you can't tell me anything else because I know what I do, but I'm presenting to you what I want you to know. Who you are when you're alone, that is who you is at your core. Like when you are alone, who you are at your, like that's who you are at your core when you're alone, when you're spending that alone time. And so you have to be, if you can't be transparent with the world, you have to at least start with being transparent with yourself and God. And being like, I deal with this.
Yes, accountability.
Accountability for yourself though, self-awareness. You have to be like, this is what I deal with. This is who I am. This is what I struggle with. I struggle with, smoking every day. Like I've seen some friends like literally say like, I'm tired of smoking. Like I can't even function as myself. Like I've seen like friends say that, like I'm done smoking. I can't even function as myself. I'm done doing this. I'm done doing that. Like you have to be transparent with yourself and you have to stick with it. Or else like you're just going to fall right back into that rabbit hole. It's like you have to consistently do the work. Anything that you like, anything that is worth attaining, anything that is worth like getting, it requires hard work. It requires you to put in the effort. If you want the easy stuff, like I can easily eat unhealthy, but I gotta pay more in order to eat vegan food. I gotta pay more in order to eat healthy fruits and stuff, and it's still those nutrients within my body. Like I have to do that. I have to put in a little more effort than it takes to even like listening to a sad song, even like, like not to use Rod Wave because I mess with him, but like, just, like that's who our person is in the day and age of like depression. Like even I'm thinking of like Biggie, like he said something in a song, like he was like, when I die, something, F it, I want to go to hell because I'm a piece of like he said that, and it's like that song is so dark. It's so like dark. Don't listen to that kind of stuff to put yourself in a more deeper hole. Like feed your mind with the positive. The same effort you're putting in to feed the negative, feed yourself with the positive as well.
And I was just you go ahead, Jada.
I was gonna say there's a scripture that says like put your mind on like what's good, pure, honest, true. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know it by word for word, but like we really are supposed to keep our mind on what's good, what's honest, what's pure, what's true, and what's right. Because when we focus on the other things, that's the stuff that pulls us down.
I was just gonna say, because like when we say, you got to do the hard stuff, it seems very unattractive, and it's very unattractive to me too. But like when you think about it like this too, just giving another analogy, like if I were to give you $1 billion right there, would you be happy? Like, would you genuinely be happy about it? right? You got $1 billion now, easy. Boom. Snap your fingers. You didn't have to work for it, nothing. You have $1 billion. Would that fulfill you?
No tax
You probably
returns.
be no tax return or nothing. Boom. You could buy whatever you want. You now have access to everything you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're most likely going. You're probably you might be like, yeah, for now, but at the same time, after you buy all that stuff, guess what? You now bought the world. Now what? You didn't earn. And that the thing is that there's a beauty in earning something.
Yeah.
Like if I wrestled and I just went against, let's say for example, I was just going against like 7-year-old kids, and it's just like, that's easy to beat them. Like, there's no fulfillment. There's no work that I had to do. It wasn't hard. It wasn't difficult. So there was no struggle that I had to actually go through. So there's no meaning behind it, right? There's the reason why, like, even like, for example, like, and even everybody goes through this stuff. Even if you're rich, like if you're rich and you already have money, right? You don't have to necessarily work for it. So guess what? You might try to spend all this money and stuff like that. But guess what? All you might want from your parents is just love.
Yeah.
So even though you have all the money, guess what? You can't buy love. You can't do that. So, but if you're poor, it's like, dang, all I want is money. All I want is money. When in reality, what you have a community, you have love, you have friends, you have people you can build with. You can start from the bottom. And now when you actually make it to the top, guess what? It's worthwhile.
Yeah.
Right. So like, there's always two sides of it, but like, we all have the decision to focus on what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
And it's a conscious decision whether or not we want to do that or not. And sometimes it has to be hard, but you have to think about it like, hey, if it was easy, I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So the fact that it is hard, the fact that I'm still standing, the fact that literally all of us are here talking about this right now is a testament to say we've been through some hard.
Yeah.
I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to say it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. But like we've been through a lot of stuff, and the fact that we're still here, like I literally want to drop a tear because it's like we're still here. Like, and I didn't even see myself getting past this age, but now not only am I going to get past this age, but I'm literally going to double, triple, quadruple my age, and I'm also going to build something amazing. But not because I didn't go through that stuff, it's because I've been through that stuff, but now I'm here.
Yeah.
Like,
I kind of want to go back to what you were saying, and also you were saying it earlier, Sean, on how it's easier to do what's not good for you. Yeah. And it's hard to do what's good for you, right? Yeah. Like working out is good for you, but it's not easy, right? You know, and I feel like that's because of our flesh. Our flesh doesn't care about us, right? Yeah. Our flesh. That's why the Bible says we have to die to our flesh daily, because God wants us to live a healthy life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And He knows that this flesh only cares about itself. Our flesh only cares about how it can feel good right now. Yeah. Not in the future. It wants to feel good right now. It doesn't care about. That's why it's hard to delay gratification, because we want to feel good right now. But that's why we have to be stronger than our flesh and say, okay, my flesh wants this right now, but I know in my mind and in my spirit that if I wait, or if I keep going, if I keep pushing through, then it's going to be a better side to that if I wait. That's true. But yeah, this was a good episode.
This is a great episode. Let's keep winning. Like, let's keep evolving every day. Like, don't sit in one place. Like, you're meant to grow. It's okay to grow from what you've experienced. It's okay to grow from the pains that, like, you know, have wounded you. But as long as you know that, like, there's, like, what's the correct phrase of, like, there's breath in your lungs? Like, as long as you know that there's breath in your lungs, you got another 24 hours by the grace of God to like get another opportunity. That's what I say to myself every day. Like, thank you, God, for giving me the grace and the opportunity of these next 24 hours to, like, make things right for myself, like achieve what I want to achieve and set out what I'm set out to do.
Yeah. And I want to leave everybody with one more thing. I feel like everyone should know that there is, and you made me think of this when you were talking, but there is fulfillment in healing. There is fulfillment, like, instead of trying to be fulfilled by, like, the wrong things, all the stuff that we talked about, like, you're trying to be fulfilled by relationships, by sex, by money, by all of this stuff. Instead of looking to be fulfilled by those things, like doing that hard work, like you mentioned, and then going through that process of overcoming, that's where you will find, like, true, like, fulfillment and contentment. So that's
good. I say just, it's gonna be like, negativity is gonna be an unconscious habit for you, but you have to make it you have to create a new habit of positivity. Like even for me, like we've said in previous episodes, like I be on y'all, like on all of y'all, because it's like I see. Not only I see the greatness in you, I already know there's greatness, and I already know I see it literally. It's like I don't see it in you, I see it's happening, but you just don't see it's happening yet. So like all the stuff that I'm telling you guys is the stuff that I don't like. So that's my form of journaling. Like the reason I be going y'all so much is because it's like there's certain things that I haven't done for myself, and it's like, all right, bet I want y'all to do it too. Like I want y'all to be successful. I want y'all to put this work in. I want y'all to build this. I want y'all to create this. And I know you guys can do it because I know that I can do it, but I don't believe in myself. So I'm gonna be that person to tell you that, hey, I believe in you. Let's do it. I'm gonna set a deadline. Let's get this thing done. Let's build this thing out because I know you can, and I know you will because I'm gonna make sure you do it. So like you have to be actively doing the hard stuff consistently, and then after a while, I promise you, it will become unconscious.
Yeah. And I'm going to close us off with a word.
Close us off with a word. Yeah.
Wait, I got one more thing to say. One more thing, bro.
Say, drop that bar.
We were talking about like suicide, right?
Yeah.
Bro, no matter how dark your life may look right now, keep pushing through. The Bible says, walk by faith, not by sight. So all your eyes can see is what's going wrong right now. But God is telling you through faith that it's going to work out for your good. So don't give up. Don't let all the negativity consume you, make you feel like it's never going to work out. Because I promise you, I know how it feels. And I know that one day you will overcome through the grace of God. So don't give up. But yeah,
let's close this out.
This was a good, y'all. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Make sure y'all tune back in at the next episode.
Facts.